Hey guys, this is Spartacus here, and today I'm going to be showing you my best class setup with the M1 Garand here within Vanguard's multiplayer. And even though normally when I make best class setup videos, I try to showcase other types of attachments on the same weapon, so that way I can try and create a class that caters to different playstyles. However, with the M1 Garand, I really only found one playstyle to work well with me while using this gun, and so I apologize if these attachments don't cater to your playstyle. But it is worth noting nonetheless that I think these attachments work really well with this build for the M1 Garand. And another thing you got to remember is that this is a single shot weapon. It's not fully automatic, and so I consider this to be one of those high skill, high accurate type of weapons. So even though this gun can be extremely accurate, there is a lot of skill involved and patience between each shot. You don't want to keep spamming the trigger while using this thing, and I definitely don't really recommend using it at close ranges, even though it can be pretty effective at close range, especially with the hip fire by default that's on this weapon. However, I find medium range to be the perfect range to actually take out enemies with this gun, and of course long ranges can work well if you're a hardcore player. Obviously this thing's going to be a one-shot kill no matter what, but if you're someone who plays core modes, then yeah, medium range gunfights are going to work out extremely well for you. And this gun doesn't have any horizontal recoil at all. If it does, it's very minimal, and so you're going to notice that that vertical recoil is going to have that same pattern every single time. So when you're spamming this weapon, try to make sure you're not spamming it constantly to where you're missing a lot of your shots. You want to be very patient between each shot, so that way you get the kill, and therefore you can actually be a master with this weapon. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the different attachments I have with this build for the M1 Garand. Starting with the muzzle attachment, I'm using the compensator because this allows the weapon to have slightly better vertical recoil control. Even though the vertical recoil on this weapon isn't terrible anyway, it just reduces it by a little bit, which can of course help a little bit later when it stacks on top of some other attachments like the barrel Cooper 25-inch, which actually this barrel makes the gun more accurate, and it reduces weapon sway, which is a pretty big deal because you could be aiming down a corner waiting for an enemy to pop around, so that way you can take him out more effectively. And so you know, the weapon sway can definitely screw your accuracy up initially when you're starting to take out an enemy, and so with that reduced weapon sway on the Cooper 25-inch, it's going to make it a lot easier to take out your targets, especially at longer distances. And of course it's going to have better recoil recovery, which is good to see because this gun, like I said earlier, you don't want to spam the trigger because you want to be as accurate as possible. And so with that recoil recovery a lot better added with this Cooper 25-inch barrel, then you have a better chance to actually spam the trigger and still stay on target. The only downside to using the Cooper 25-inch is that your sprint to fire and ADS is going to be slower, so you got to take that into account. And then for the optic, honestly, any iron sight and any medium range optic will work well with this weapon. I find this gun to be very effective at medium ranges. Close range engagements can be a lot easier when you're using an iron sight, and that's something I definitely learned. And I really enjoy using iron sights, if I'm being completely honest with you, because you will find yourself in close range engagements with this build. And so iron sights just really help in those situations, but really any medium range optic will work. The next thing I have for the stock attachment is the Cooper adjustable, and this allows you to have better recoil control and faster aim move speed, as well as faster ADS. So the whole point of this stock attachment is for the gun to feel more fast, right? You want to feel faster when you're engaging in gunfights, while you're ADSing, and you're able to move faster while ADSing. You're able to actually ADS faster, so then just in case an enemy just pops up in front of you and you're able to take them out at those close range engagements. And of course there is some downsides to this, like your hip fire is worse, your move speed is worse, and your recoil during fire can be a lot worse. But you know, I think this is a good trade-off to having some of those other faster moving abilities with the weapon. And of course some of the other attachments I'm going to mention later on are going to kind of make up for the downsides of this attachment. Like for example, we have the underbarrel attachment, which is I'm using the pistol grip for this build, and this actually allows you to have a better sprint to fire and hip fire accuracy. Just like I said with the stock attachment, the Cooper adjustable makes it to where your hip fire is worse. Well, the underbarrel, the pistol grip attachment that I'm using, actually increases hip fire, and it totally makes up for it. And so yeah, sprint to fire and better hip fire accuracy with the pistol grip. It does increase recoil control a little bit, and your accuracy is slightly worse as well, even though I don't think that having worse accuracy really does anything to the weapon anyway, which is good to know. And then for the magazine attachment, I like to use the .316 round mag because all this really does is that it increases your ammunition to 16 rounds, and you can reload faster faster with it, which I think is great. The only downside is your move speed, ADS, and vertical recoil are going to be slightly worse, which is a shame, but either way, it is really nice to have like those extra bullets and be able to reload faster, so I think it is a good trade-off. And then for the ammo type, I'm actually using hollow points, because hollow points, it says that it slightly reduces range, even though in a recent update they updated this ammo type to make it to where it doesn't actually decrease your range anyway. And since this gun actually has like an infinite damage range anyway, it's not going to make a difference on this weapon. And of course, hollow point, what it does is it increases the limb damage, so in case you're not getting those headshots, in case you're not shooting someone in the upper torso and you accidentally shoot somebody in a limb, right, then you're going to be increasing more damage and you have a better chance of taking them out before they can take you out. And so that's why I like to use the hollow point ammo type. And then for the rear grip, I like to use the polymer grip because this allows your gun to have better accuracy and recoil during fire, and you have a lot better flinch resistance, which is going to be super beneficial in core modes. Hardcore modes doesn't really make that big of a difference, considering a lot of weapons are one-shot kills anyway, just like the M1 Garand. But however, I know a lot of people mostly play core mode, and so this polymer grip is so essential in my opinion, and I highly recommend using it. And then for the proficiency, I use sleight of hand. Honestly, all the proficiencies are pretty good on the M1 Garand except for vital. I just recently found out that vital doesn't actually do anything on this weapon, which I find kind of crazy, and so just avoid vital as much as possible. Use any other proficiency, but I personally like to use sleight of hand so I can reload a lot faster. And then for kit, I like to use fully loaded because that way I don't have to worry about running scavenger to pick up more ammo when I'm on a streak. Fully loaded pretty much does the trick, and I'm able to actually keep a lot of my ammo and be able to stay on streaks using the M1 Garand when I want to. And that's pretty much it for the M1 Garand class setup. I mean, obviously I'm just showing you the attachments. The perks can really be like however you feel. Like for example, I like to run Ghost, and then for perk 2, Radar can always be a really good perk to use while playing in core modes. And then I like to use Lightweight as my perk 3, so that way I can move a lot faster. The thing about this build is that even though I try to design it to make it a little bit faster than usual, and you're able to actually get on target quicker than the enemy can get on target on you, and so the thing is, you still got to remember that this is a semi-automatic weapon, and it's great to actually play conservative with this weapon. You don't want to rush super hard. It's not fully automatic, so when you get into a close range engagement and there's like 2 or 3 guys in front of you, it's going to be really hard to take them out. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're exposed a lot and that enemies can just take you out super easily. It is basically a marksman rifle after all, and so you do want to be taking enemies out longer distances. It's not really designed for close range engagements. Even though this build does help with close range engagements, it's still better to focus on those medium ranges, because that's where I found the best way to actually take out enemies, especially with this build. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, and of course subscribe to the channel for more Call of Duty videos that I post pretty much almost every single day. I do Halo series here on my channel where I basically am playing through all the Halo campaigns right now, but either way, make sure you're subscribed for more Call of Duty videos, leave a like if you enjoyed it, and of course follow me on Twitter to stay up to date with me outside of YouTube, and I shall catch you guys later.